Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. Let me just go over a little bit of notes that I have. I'm gonna be honest with you. This episode, in so many ways, was kind of a step back from the last two episodes. There was only one interesting part in this episode, and the reason why I was interesting is because Peter was there. And that's the whole Nixon Fall thing. So let's talk about that first, since that was pretty much the highlight and everything else just somewhat went kind of downhill. Peter is just making everything all awkward and uncomfortable for Nina. And I'm loving it. And, he just once again reminds her, hey, listen, if you don't do what I say, I kidnap James and I blow your life apart. Which, I said yesterday, it's a giant cop-out the way that they are doing this whole thing with Nina and Peter. I'm not a fan of it, but you know what? My petty ass is going to sit there and take comfort in the fact that Nina is uncomfortable by this whole thing. Besides the James part, everything else, I am just loving it. So, I'm with it. Now, at some point, Phyllis comes out. I guess she was sitting there talking to Sunny earlier. And they all get together with Peter this time. And you can tell right off the bat, like, when Sunny saw the whole situation as, Nina just looked uncomfortable. And there was one point after, Peter introduced himself to Phyllis, Sunny practically was like, so, when you leaving? And, Peter's like, well, I was thinking about that, but, I have this little project going on with Nina, and, who knows at this point? So this whole talk is getting uncomfortable for Nina. And at some point, the sheriff comes in. Still remember calling him a dick, and I still feel the same way about that. But he comes in. He wants to pay his respects to Phyllis as far as Lenny and stuff like that. Looks around, sees everyone. He sees a new face, and that's when he's like, "Oh." At first, it was kind of interesting because the sheriff was like, "Oh, I know you," or "You seem familiar," or something like that. He's like, "Oh, I'm Peter Sinclair." Okay. He's like, "I'm Peter Sinclair." You know what? On a side note, who is actually still going to buy that paper? Because he said that he had a buyer that was lined up that was interested in buying. And at first, I'm sitting there thinking it's going to be Cameron Madison. He's going to be, a new role or whatever. Find out he's Drew. So I'm wondering who is that other person that was so quick to buy it. But yeah, anyway, he's like, "I'm Peter Sinclair," yada yada yada. And that's when Nina starts to give him like clues and stuff like that. Give the sheriff clues. As far as like, oh, you may know him from like Port Charles or, Port Charles. So she's dropping clues. And Peter quick, he zeroes in on it. And at some point when I guess everyone leaves. Because, by the way, when I sat there and watched this, I had to watch it on YouTube because, well, if you live in the New York area, something happened. I'm not going to really get into it. But there was a news interruption for, like, a good 40 minutes. So, if I'm missing parts, I apologize. I was just going to wait until 8 o'clock, but I was like, you know what? I feel like this episode is not that good anyway, so, whatever. Anyway, at some point where everyone leaves, Peter is pissed. He's like, yeah, okay, I saw what you were trying to do, dropping in clues and breadcrumbs and stuff like that. He was like, you better hope that he doesn't figure it out. And, Nina's like, oh, well, if he does, or whatever. And once again, he threatens Sunny, he threatens James. Hell, he even threatens, Phyllis. Now, at some point, I guess they come back all together. I'm not gonna lie, this episode was somewhat kind of boring, and I'm gonna be honest, I kind of dozed off here and there. At some point, they all get together, and now this is kind of weird. Okay, so they get together. She's still, Sonny still looks at this whole situation like there's just something off about whoever this guy is. He's clearly making her feel uncomfortable. Oh yeah, and I remember, and I wrote it down too. Before they all got together, Phyllis was once again pushing Nina on to Sonny, and I'm just like, okay, so let me get this straight. You're literally grieving your husband, and yet you're still trying to find time to sit there and play matchmaker, aka push Nina on to Sonny, regardless of the wedding or anything else, but you know, whatever it's called. So Peter, actually tell you the truth, Peter is about to leave. And he was like, yeah, I'm just going to go for a walk, kind of soak in the atmosphere or whatever. And Sonny's like, hey, you know, let's not go with you. And Peter's like, no, that's not necessary. And Sonny was like, no. I was a stranger here too. Let's explore this town or whatever together, you know. So they start to walk out. And Sonny flat out says, I'm getting a vibe that she doesn't like you. So I'm just kind of wondering, like, and you see it in the previews that, you know, he's really sitting there like, yo, why are you here? Why are you talking to this woman that clearly doesn't like you? I mean, I was going to sit there and say I was surprised that Phyllis didn't pick up on that whole vibe, but, you know, she's grieving, so, you know, I get that. But Sonny is like, you know, he can tell, like, there's something off, just about the vibe and atmosphere in general between those two, so. I already know that part is going to be interesting. And now we're going to get to the rest of this episode. So, Chase talks to Finn. And this is kind of good in a way because Chase, you know, he realizes that, like, you know, when she tells Finn everything as far as, like, Michael and Willow, them being together, his marriage dissolving, everything. And, you know, Finn was a little upset. He was like, yo, why didn't he not sit there and tell you? And Chase was like, when? When I was about to die, when I was, like, nearly on death's door, when I couldn't walk? There really wasn't a good time for them, you know, for either of them to sit there and tell me. Hell, actually, to tell you the truth, he was more upset. He basically said, like, you know, I wish it was more of some sort of, like, dirty affair or something like that. And, you know, the truth of the matter is, I set this whole thing in motion with the whole Sasha thing. And he pretty much was like, if I had to go back and do it over again, he would. So, you know, honestly, to tell you the truth, I'm glad he's getting the closure that he needs to get. And it's going to take him some time before they can even really kind of just talk on a, I don't know, I guess more of a decent level. But he seems like he's getting there. And in a way, I look at this, and in a way, I think that's really cool. It shows growth and progress. But I'm not gonna lie, it would have been really fun to sit there and watch him go dark, you know? Like, what if he wasn't so, like, nice and understanding about the whole thing, and he was just really pissed off, you know? I can see, like, a good story where he would be sitting there taking revenge on Michael. I would love to see how that plays out. Unfortunately, the way the popularity goes, you know, I don't know exactly how far it would go. Like, I don't think he would kill Michael or anything like that, but I would love to see a bit of rivalry between those two. Like, he's practically just like, even Finn was like, yo, you taking that a lot better than me. I'm looking at the situation like, bro, you taking that a lot better than the majority of the men on this planet. I mean, I get it. You look at the whole thing, and I think somewhere along the lines he kind of realized that he rushed that whole marriage thing too. But at to sit there and be like, well, you know, they're in love with each other, and Michael's a great guy, and Willow, you know, is an amazing person, and, you know, like, yada, yada, yada. And I'm just like, on one hand, that is very mature. On the other hand, that is somewhat unrealistic. I mean, soap operas is unrealistic in general, but, like, you're just like, yeah, you know, things happen, and, you know, they're good people, so it's okay. And that was pretty much their whole talk, and they're going to go on a camping trip, so yeah, that ends that. Jocelyn and Jason. I'm not going to lie, this is another one of those scenes that were just like... I mean, first of all, Jason walks in the kitchen, and he sees Jocelyn upset about something, or looks like something's bothering her. So he asks her, and at first she doesn't say anything, but she's like, alright, parents are fighting, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that you're marrying my mom. And I'm like, I guess he can't really sit there and tell her the real reason of why they're arguing, and he can't sit there and tell her the real reason of why they're getting married, so he pretty much kind of lies by omission. And he pretty much just says, well, in some ways this kind of becomes somewhat of a Full House moment, where he just says that your parents are going to be your parents, they're going to love you, and just be who you are, and that pretty much ends that. More or less, and he gives some words of wisdom, she accepts it, and that pretty much ends that. So, yeah. Michael and Willow pretty much talk about Chase and how it's going to take some time, but she feels a lot better about the situation. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what you went over there for. You went over there so that way you can feel better about the situation. Like, I mean, let the guy take a beat. Let him take 2 days before you decide to go over his house. I mean, you didn't even let him get time to finish getting angry about the whole thing. I mean, yeah, he was angry, but I'm pretty sure he was angry when you was sitting there telling him. Just hearing the words coming from your mouth probably reignited that fire. But you can even give him time to just process that. No. I gotta go over there so that way I can make sure I feel better about my decision. Like, I know somewhere in there she was trying to do the right thing, but honestly, to tell you the truth, that's how it comes off. So yeah, they talked about that. They talked about, you know, them being together and yada yada yada. And Brooklyn comes in, and, you know, she pretty much asks him the status of Chase to see, you know, how he's doing, and, you know, they pretty much kind of tell him, like, you know, he's going to be upset for a while, but he seems like he's taking it a lot better than, well, pretty much most of the men on the damn planet would. And after that, you know, Brooklyn starts whining and crying and boo-hooing about the fact that Michael gave him the letter. And, you know, even Michael was like, listen, just because I gave him the letter doesn't mean it's going to do much in court. I mean, he practically was like, there's a possibility that there could be a copy somewhere. And what? He was supposed to sit there and tear it up and make their case look even weaker? So he couldn't really do any of that. What the hell? He pretty much couldn't do any of that. So he was like, the best thing we could sit there and do is to let it play out. Let it play out. And then he was like, listen, worst come to worst, Valentine, you know, is the, you know, head of ELQ. And he literally was there saying, would that be so bad? We're making money. He's a good business person. So, what is the problem? And, of course, she starts whining and, you know, I'm not going to lie, I feel like she was overreacting throughout that entire thing. But at one point she was like, you know, just something about him I really don't like. I don't trust him, blah, blah, blah. And then Willow was like, yeah, I'm going to side with her. You know, Willow, I just don't know about her some days. I really don't. Honestly, to tell you the truth, I think my only best moment about Willow was when she fought off Nell. When she fought off Nell, that's when I was like, okay, you know what? This girl got some fire in her. And then ever since then, it's just been very questionable at best. I'm not gonna lie, that's actually that's actually when I start to like Jocelyn a little bit more. Because up until that point, I really wasn't a fan of Jocelyn until she stepped at Nell, and she practically kicked her ass. And that's why I was like, you know what? She's alright. I give her that. But yeah, she sides with her, and she basically says that there's something off about him, and whatever. So, okay. Jason comes in and asks Michael to be the best man, and of course he says yes, because, you know, I mean, it makes sense to some extent. I mean, Jason has been like a father to him. He's always had his back, no question, so, yeah, I can totally see that. On the other side, I'm just like, that's literally your dad's best friend, and, well, he's dead now, and this guy's gonna marry your mom. And we're all supposed to be okay with that. Okay. I'm still not a fan of this whole wedding. I don't know if I made that clear enough, but I am not a fan of this whole thing. I just, like, I need this to be over at some point, and some point soon. Lisa and Obrick. Another scene that I was kind of like, okay. I mean, it was nice in the theater seeing Obrick, you know, really kind of be there for her daughter as far as the heartbreak and everything like that. Just checking on her, making sure she was okay. Cool. Great scene. Kind of didn't really do much, but, you know, at least their relationship is moving forward. Maxie was sitting there talking to Carly, thanking her about getting her mind off of things. And then she met up with Lisa and Obrick. I mean, Britt and Obrick. Yeah, I said that right. Britt and Obrick. And they were pretty much asking, like, you know, what was she doing? What was she up to? And she's like, oh, I'm planning Carly and Jason's wedding. And Obrick was like, I'm sorry, maybe I have something in my head. I could have swore you said that. Wait, what did you say again? Let me make sure I heard this right. And then she said it again, and she practically looked at her like, are you out of your damn mind? And, you know, she starts listing off all the reasons. Well, not all the reasons, but she pretty much just has this avert reaction to Maxie planning Jason and Carly's wedding. You know, she's like, hey, you know, Jason broke my daughter's heart or whatever. Like, I ain't cool with that. And, you know, Britt is like, I think Britt steps in, she says something, or Maxie says something. I don't remember who said something to sit there and defend, like, why she's doing what she's doing, but, you know, Britt is just like, you know, I just wanted to be happy. Like, I mean, not like the outcome or how it went down, but, you know, it is what it is. I mean, she was sitting there saying that even before Maxie came in. She was like, listen, I mean, I liked how it ended, but it was something, you know? I mean, she's still living by that day-by-day spirit, you know? Which I think is good, and I can sit there and say in reality, we all need to sit there and be like that, but I'd be lying if I sit there and say that, yep, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to sit there and just take that day like it's my last. And then I'll get to work, and then somebody will do something stupid, and then I'll sit there and complain. And I'll probably forget about that whole mantra that I was talking about today. So, anyway, not gonna lie, the scene doesn't really go too much of anywhere, except for the fact that Obrick gets a call from Nina when Peter and Sonny leaves, and Nina's like, listen, I need you to do something that's within your wheelhouse, but if you can't do it, I understand, and I'll take care of myself. I mean, are you gonna sit there and let somebody in on it, or like, what are we doing? And how is she gonna do that? I guess I'll have to sit there and wait for the next episode to find out. And I'm just not there wondering, how is she gonna sit there and get Lisa to help her with a problem without revealing too much? I think that's about it. I'm pretty sure I probably missed something because either I just missed it, or the copy that I was sitting there watching on YouTube was, well, crap. But if I did, like always, leave the, you know, let me know what you know, Let me know what I missed. If I missed anything in the comment section below. Let me know what your thoughts are on this episode. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Why? Why not? I thought it was... bleh. I didn't think it was terrible, but it was just kind of boring, and a lot of stuff didn't happen, and, like, there were scenes that was good, and then I felt like it just started to go, like, downhill as far as watching it. Which I'm not gonna lie, I'm really disappointed about, because last couple episodes was like, wow, this is really getting on track today. And then today was like, alright, we're just gonna sit there and just take, like, a step back. We don't want to be too good today. We want to, you know, build you up a little bit, you know. Thank you for watching. Be safe. I'll see you in the next video.